How do you see the 2020s playing out in relation to the rest of this century? Do you have recommendations for families and churches particular to this decade?
So one of the things that I've seen a lot of conservative Christians doing as things have gotten increasingly insane is saying things like, surely now everybody will wake up and see that this is absurd. So right when we're recording this, we're right in the midst of canceling Dr. Seuss. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Surely that's going to do it. Everybody's going to wake up and say, this is absurd. This is lunatic. And I've given up saying that, with surely now everybody's going to see the light. Now, having given up saying that, that doesn't mean that won't happen. It just means that people can probably go for longer than you would guess in doubling down, tripling down on their folly. But as there's Stein's law, I think the gent's name, an economist named Herbert, I think his name was Herbert Stein. Basically, he said anything that cannot continue on indefinitely won't.
Okay.
All right. And I believe, to use a buzzword from our current eco culture, the crazy that's going on right now is not sustainable. People cannot live this way. There's going to be either a revolt against it, right, and a revolt back to normalcy, or the people who are doing all this crazy are simply doing it as a means of getting control, right? And then once they have that control, then they can back off a little bit, having gotten all the levers of control. Basically, cancel culture is not rampaging through North Korea right now. Right? They just have an iron grip on the country, and you do what you tell them, and your freedoms are gone. But they're not doing. It's not it's a totalitarian society, but it's not a loony bin. Okay, right now we're dealing with the loony bin. The inmates are running the asylum, and that's because we're living in a transitional moment. Political correctness, cancel culture, and political correctness are all designed to be absurd.
Right.
Right. It's the issue is not. We shouldn't be thinking of the leftists who are demanding that we feel guilty for, whiteness or whatever it is, or the Coca-Cola try to be less white, or you read Dr. Seuss. You read the Sneetches book to your kids, and so you're guilty of a hate crime. They're not the people who are yelling at us about those things are serious, but they're not serious about the point they're making. What they're doing is they are saying things that are absurd. They know that they're absurd. And the issue is, can they get you to go along with the absurdity? Because if you go along with the absurd demands that they're making, then that is demonstrating that they have complete control over you. So if someone comes along and says, I want you to say the sky is pink, and I say no, they start demanding and organize a riot and start doing all this stuff. The issue is not, I don't have to say, why does he think the sky is pink? He doesn't think the sky is pink. He thinks you're a coward.
Right. Okay.
So that's the issue. So we think that the issue is about trannies, guys running in women's mediocre males competing in women's sports. We think that that's the issue, and we think we're debating with someone who actually thinks that these guys are girls. We're not debating with people who think that guys are girls. We're debating with people who think that you're a girl.
Right. So it seems like it's this conflict between you've got a society that is governed by the reality of what God has actually revealed, natural law, and the law that He has His revealed word, or you've got a society that's governed by is it the lust of man? Is that what is the power is shifting towards? What's at the top when that transition happens?
So is Augustine? I think it was Augustine's phrase for it was libido dominandi, the lust to govern, and it's you see it in Milton's Satan, who would rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. Okay, there are people who would rather govern a helicopter crash of a country than serve in a happy, prosperous nation where they didn't get to run anybody.
So the trick is then that when you run into these absurd conversations, we keep thinking that they're trying to convince us of this other truth that seems ridiculous. But in actuality, what they're trying to convince us of is their right to be the one who declares what is true.
Correct.
No matter what.
They want me to acknowledge that they are in that definitional place. So I've said it for a number of years. I said all of this is battle. Is a battle over control of the dictionary. Who has control of the dictionary? Who is the editor of the dictionary? And I'm not arguing with their definition of XYZ. I'm arguing with their right to define anything.
And that's why. So 1 minute race means one thing, the next minute something else, or gender or sex, and it keeps changing on us. Not because they're trying to get us to a particular truth, but because they're trying to establish their own.
And this is the truth. This is the truth that Orwell pointed to. We've always been at war with East Asia,
right?
And so I can guarantee you that when after all the soft Christians have capitulated and say, yes, trannies are women. Yes, trannies are women. Trannies are women. And they're in the driver's seat. They're going to come back to us 15 minutes later and say, now, we want you to deny that trannies are women. And they're going to get compliance because you were already broken. You were broken on this point. The issue is them breaking you, not them saying 2 + 2 = 5.
So then back to the question that started this, do you have recommendations for families and churches, particularly to this decade? If that's the world we're looking at, then to steal from Schaeffer, how do we then live?
Right. Well, I'll put it this way. I believe that Christian fathers, husbands, pastors need to be looking for a hill to defend.